Hello and welcome, everyone. Brian Smith here to talk a little Miami Hurricanes recruiting. Just want to talk about three guys for this upcoming June 16th weekend. Number one, Kevin Riley. He is out of the Tuscaloosa, Alabama area. Obviously, that's somebody that most fans probably know. That means he's close to the University of Alabama. Tuscaloosa and Tuscaloosa County High School, where he's at, that's an interesting area to try to do business. But Alabama did not prioritize Kevin Riley quite the way some other schools did earlier. There's a young man from the state of Mississippi and a few others that Alabama's looked at as well. But the Canes, they didn't care. They went after Riley and they've made him a priority and have for quite some time. This is a big visit for two reasons. Number one, can you just knock it out of the park? Meaning, can Miami get a commitment? Number two, if you don't, where do you stand with him? And then do you prioritize another prospect? Or at least look at it from a perspective of, can we be in the hunt until the end? You got to find out something this weekend. That's the short of it. I guess the additional part is, do you expect Nick Saban and the Tide to eventually come after this kid? I don't know, because it depends on a few other kids. That's the wild card. So that's a big, big visit. I wouldn't be shocked if he committed. Miami's in a pretty good spot with him right now. But at the same time, it's not easy to get kids out of Northern Alabama. So Kevin Riley's interesting. It's a unique connection. Remember now, Cristobal was at the University of Alabama at one point as an assistant under Saban. So he knows the area, and he's recruited the state of Alabama. But that's a really unique recruitment. Next, Jericho Johnson, defensive lineman out of California. This is a prospect that not many people have talked a lot about. And it's probably because, myself included, most people that follow Miami don't live in California. And it's a little different to get local intel. There's always something I hear about a kid from Central Florida or South Florida, North Florida, because I live here in the Sunshine State. Well, that kind of works against me and everybody else that covers the Canes for this particular recruitment. I haven't heard anything about him recently, but I will add the following. They need numbers. They need at minimum two big-time defensive tackles in this class. That's hard to do. But along with the next guy I'm going to talk about, this would be a great way to do it. He's in the neighborhood of 300 pounds. He's the kind of kid that's good enough to play at USC or Oregon, so that puts the talent level in perspective. And above all else, this is a guy that plays aggressively and he plays downhill. He is a true interior defensive lineman. The mentality, the frame, the size, the athleticism, all of that is there. I have no idea what his commitment timeline is. There has been no smoke about him, as far as I know, at least here in the state of Florida. But he's somebody I have personally on kind of my outside the box commitment watch, just because if he comes this weekend, has a good visit, maybe he wants something different. It's still warm weather. It's still big time football, but it's away from California. And quite frankly, the state of California has sent a bunch of kids back east, ACC, SEC, Miami, wherever, over the last 5 years. This could be another one. USC is about the only program in that state that is very consistent with recruiting. And even them, they've struggled to recruit defensive linemen like you would think USC would. We'll see what Lincoln Riley and his crew do before the end of the year. I'm sure it's somebody they're contemplating trying to get, but I don't have a lot of faith in their defensive recruiting based on how they play on the field. I think Miami could pull this one off. It wouldn't be surprising. So keep him in mind. And then finally, Justin Scott. A lot has been written about him, including by myself. Miami is the perceived favorite. He's the defensive tackle out of Chicago, Illinois. He goes to St. Ignatius, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, and probably about anybody else you can imagine extended an offer and did so early. Miami has had him on campus multiple times, and this weekend is the big official visit weekend. Does he commit? Everything I've heard says he will commit this summer, but probably still take visits afterwards. I'm just reiterating that. It's not anything sensationalized, not anything special. It's just that's what I've heard. The only question about it is now, could Miami do well enough now just to knock it out and Scott not take any more visits? I absolutely have no idea what his situation is in that regard. If he really didn't want to take any more visits, I'd be surprised based on what I've heard so far. But I would rather have him committed than not. So Cristobal and the Canes, Jason Taylor, Big Joe, all of them have done a really good job of recruiting Scott. Now they got to win over the mom. That's the thing. You got to win over the family, the head coach at the high school, all the whole 9 yards. If you're going to get a commitment to come all the way down from Chicago and do so early, that's a national top 50 kid by everybody's measurement, and most people think top 20. That's a pretty impressive thing to do. So Miami's put themselves in position, but now we got to see. This is a big, big weekend. All right, everybody get ready for some fireworks starting the next week. This is the last point I want to make. This is the third official visit weekend, 2nd, 9th, 16th. A bunch of kids from the first 2 weekends are going to start making some headway, meaning commitment dates, just popping, whatever it might be. You never know when you pop in Twitter or Instagram or something, somebody might have committed. That's my last little note. So Brian Smith signing off. Everybody have a good day. And please hit that like, hit the notification bell. Please share this podcast. And please comment. I'm curious what you think about the Canes' chances this weekend getting some commitments. Riley, Johnson, and, of course, Scott. All of those three are really good, and they got some other really talented players coming to Coral Gables. So everybody have a great day.